The Sky This Month with your host, Dave McDonald.
Welcome to The Sky This Month. I'm your host, Dave McDonald, and this is October 2023. And what a great month we have in store for you. We have a partial solar eclipse coming up. We have International Observe the Moon Night coming up. We have the planets Saturn and Jupiter. Uranus is going to be findable. I'm going to show you the Andromeda Galaxy, and the list goes on. And I have a special guest, New Hampshire State Representative Ellen Reed, who I'll introduce to you in just a moment. So we're going to be talking today about the sun, moon, and you. The sun, moon, and you. Well, the sun, we're going to have a partial eclipse this month. The moon, International Observe the Moon Night. And where do you fit into all this? And I think you're going to find we're going to have a very fascinating discussion. But let me just point out that International Observe the Moon Night is going to be October 21st, and at Bryant Field in Belmont, which is off of Route 106. It's a Saturday night from 7 to 10 p.m. Come on down, come on up, come on over to Bryant Field in Belmont, and we will have telescopes there, and we will enjoy looking at the moon and Saturn and Jupiter and point out some constellations. But it's just kind of neat to realize that everybody around the moon in the course of the 24 hours will have the opportunity to look at the same moon. It's really kind of cool. So where do you come in? Well, let me introduce to you our special guest, New Hampshire State Representative Ellen Reed.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome. You are very welcome. It's great to have you with us. So you're a New Hampshire State Representative, and so besides the fact that I've invited you on the show, what are you doing here? Do you have an interest in science and astronomy, a background?
I do. So my mother actually studied astronomy when she was in college, and I remember growing up as a little tyke, looking at her textbooks, her college textbooks, and not really understanding what I was seeing necessarily, but just being drawn to it. Yeah. And as I was in school, I enjoyed my math and science classes and ended up getting a degree in molecular biology.
Did you really?
I did. But while I was getting that degree, I did take astronomy classes.
Wonderful.
And then somewhere in my life, I decided that science was not the bottleneck for progress, that it was political will. And so I kind of took a left turn in Albuquerque, as Bugs Bunny used to say,
yeah.
and went back and got my master's in policy. But after working at nonprofits and doing advocacy work and then getting elected, I decided I wanted to return to my roots, and I ended up joining the New Hampshire Astronomical Society. I had seen some of their sky watches I was fortunate enough to run into, and I had rented out some of the telescopes that were provided there at my local library, and
Right.
I learned who the society was, and I joined.
Well, in spite of the fact that I was there.
That's right.
Well, very cool. So as I mentioned, you know, we have this partial solar eclipse coming up October 14th, which will be visible around the country. If we can go back to the graphic there, you can see that on the left side, the annular solar eclipse, October 14th, cuts across from Oregon down through Texas. But here in New Hampshire, we'll see partial of that. And then in a moment, we're going to focus on the April 8th, 2024 total solar eclipse. And you can see the area that is circled is New Hampshire, Vermont, Maine, and up into Canada. So we're going to focus on that in just a moment. But first, there's three types of eclipses that we could have. There's the total eclipse, which we'll be talking about momentarily, an annular eclipse, which is that eclipse that is happening from Oregon down through Texas. And you can see how the moon covers the sun, but not completely. There's like a ring around it. And that's because the moon at this point is farther away from Earth, so the size is smaller in front of the sun, So it doesn't quite cover it, so we have this annularity here. And then a partial eclipse is when the alignment of sun, moon, and earth is such that the shadow of the moon doesn't quite cover the sun. But so we are basically going to have a partial annular eclipse on October 14th. And we'll show you in a little bit where you can go to see that with telescopes. But the big story is this total solar eclipse that is going to be coming up. And this is how a total solar eclipse gets started. But Ellen, let me ask you, because I know that you've been involved with this April 8th total solar eclipse, and what is and has been your level of involvement?
Well, fellow members of the Astronomical Society got me involved with preparing New Hampshire for the upcoming total solar eclipse. And in particular, I wrote a bill, or I should say it ended up being a proclamation by the governor, but it did pass and it got signed, talking about the importance of that day, what it kind of means symbolically to witness such an amazing event, but also the importance of education on the issue. And so, like I said, the governor did sign that, and we are looking at future legislation to try to make sure everybody has an opportunity to enjoy it.
Nice. And let's look at just a few pictures of what you're talking about so people can get an idea of what they're going to be seeing. So again, this is the beginning of an eclipse. This is an eclipse I was actually at down in Hopkinsville, Kentucky on August 21st, 2017. And then either I or my daughter took this picture of totality. Isn't that amazing? This is not a National Geographic picture. This is point and shoot, basically, with a camera, not a cell phone.
And look how dark it is. You can see a star.
Yes. Yeah. And it's amazing when that moment happens. So I was in a place with 300 other people, my wife and daughter included, and when this moment happens, because it slowly dims, I mean really slowly, so if you didn't know an eclipse was going on, you might not even notice an eclipse was going on. But then it's like slowly dim, and BAM! The lights go out. And the animals get confused. Stars come out, planets come out. It's really amazing. And this next image is image that either myself or my daughter took. One took one took the other. I don't remember which is which. But that amazing glow of the corona around the outside baffles scientists to this day, because the photosphere of the sun, the surface of the sun, is about 10,000 degrees Fahrenheit. But when you get off the surface of the sun, 1 million or so miles, it goes up to 1 million plus degrees. And that's just really amazing. And then as the moon moves away, we have this diamond ring effect, which happens both on the ingress and egress of the eclipse. This is outstanding to see. And then the moon moves away over the course of a couple hours. And that's me, my family, my daughter in the middle. My wife is on the left of this image. And you can see all our photographic equipment and a small telescope and a cornfield. So it was really pretty cool. And so one of the things that we have done is established a partnership with Coos County in Oregon. They're experiencing the annular eclipse like fully. And we will be experiencing the total solar eclipse. And so we thought Coos County, New Hampshire, Coos Bay County in Oregon, we could have a great partnership. And so we do. So, Ellen, back to you. I understand that this is the area that's going to be covered in the upper green here, and there's a lot of schools in New Hampshire, and there's a lot of schools in that area, and I understand that you had a meeting recently with Dr. Frank Edelblut.
That's right.
And so tell us a little bit about what's his take on all of this?
That's right. So I was a little nervous going to see the Commissioner of Education because I didn't know that he would maybe receive space geeky information very well, but it turns out that not only do we have over 60,000 students, and this eclipse is happening on a Monday, but the moment of totality is around 3:30, which means the kids won't be with their teachers, but they won't really be with their parents yet. It's kind of an in-between. Plus, we're going to have thousands upon thousands of people coming up into New Hampshire from all around the area, really, that will be kind of overwhelming the traffic. And so I was concerned that the proclamation alone wasn't enough, that we had to do something to make sure the students had an opportunity to actually enjoy seeing it, know what they were seeing it, viewing it safely as possible. And so I went to go see the commissioner, and I explained the situation, and to my delight, he was absolutely excited. His face lit up.
Wonderful.
He said this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, which it really is, unless you turn into a person who follows total solar eclipses. Yeah. And so he wants me to head up legislation, which I've already submitted, to basically help turn all of that day across all the schools in New Hampshire into a kind of remote learning day where students will be given assignments to go and view, whether it's viewing outside the path of totality or the path of totality, and have that count as their day. So, so yeah, that's what we'll be doing.
That's awesome. And this image here is a photo which includes you.
There I am.
In the upper photo, where Governor Sununu signed this bill. And this was up at Sugar Hill. And the neat thing that impressed me, I was there as well. I think I'm in the bottom picture. Yeah, I've lost a little weight since then. And so the governor's signing here, and I thought it was very cool that, I mean, he came all the way up there just to sign our bill, the bill that you wrote, and I thought, you know, he probably has 5 to 10 other things he's going to do while he's there, but he made the trip just to do that, and that was just very impressive, and we had great conversations about that. And here's a photo of the bill and the actual signatures there, including at the bottom the governor's signature in that blue pen, which I have one of.
I still have. I have two of them.
And you do?
But I did write the bill. So.
You did. You deserve to have two of them. So as we talk again about the sun, moon, and you, and where this is coming, what do you see? You sort of touched on this already, but what do you see as the importance in terms of education and students to experience this eclipse?
Well, I mean, obviously there's a scientific importance, the understanding how the universe works and our place in it. But I think maybe more broadly, and this was something that was written about in that proclamation that the governor signed, is honestly that sense of unity you get. And I think a lot of people entered into astronomy from the first time they either saw the rings around Saturn, or the red spot on Jupiter, or, you know, the first time you look through binoculars and realize that the Pleiades are actually like dozens and dozens and dozens of stars, and you never realized how many stars are in a little blank, apparently blank spot of sky. Or just the first time you look at the moon through binoculars and realize, like, oh, it looks like you can touch it. It looks, you know, textural. And it's such a feeling of all the problems that we experience here are really overcomable, right? We're just all together, like that classic quote that we're on the little blue dot together. And the universe is so much bigger than all of our problems. So that's something that's really important, I think, for students to, and everyone, to experience firsthand.
And I think and I agree so much. And so if we go and look back at the map here, you can see that it's pretty much all of Coos County that is in a place of totality. But it's important to note that the line of or I should say the center line of totality is actually just a little above Pittsburgh into Canada. So the further south on this line, like if you're like in Berlin or Kilkenny, I went to Kilkenny, Ireland this summer, and so if you like on that line, you've got like 5 seconds of totality, right? And the further north, the better. In Pittsburgh, you're going to get a couple minutes plus. and such. So, so people who are close to the line, who may be, let's just say, in Sugar Hill that I mentioned, or in Plymouth and such, where it might be 98 to 99% totality. Ellen, is that good enough?
No, no, it's not good enough. And I know that sounds like it has to be good enough. But the thing is about a total solar eclipse is that really everything underneath 100% kind of looks like a really overcast day. It's really that moment of pure totality where it goes from it's a daytime period of time to the lights went out and we are in night now. And that you can experience even if it's cloudy. The difference between, even if it's overcast and you can't see through your solar eclipse glasses the actual moon go in front of the sun, you will experience this kind of eerie moment of it was daytime, it was overcast, it was kind of dim, but it was still just a day, to we're in the middle of the night now, and the birds go quiet, and you know the sounds sound weirder.
The crickets are out.
Yeah, it's really, and you start to realize why people back in the medieval period would freak out about it, because it really is just unlike anything you can experience.
And so I'm so glad that you're involved in putting together another bill, you know, with or encouraged by the Department of Education and such. And I trust the houses will be behind you on this, and it's really important. So an idea I had is originally it's like, let's have the day off from school, and then I think maybe 90% of the kids are going to just have a day off from school. Right. But I think that if it was packaged in such a way that the students were encouraged to go to totality, not to Plymouth, but all the way up into Coos County, the further north the better, to experience it, write about it, take some images of it, maybe do some sketching of it, and to write a report, that they, in my opinion, should get credit for the day at school and a good science project grade.
I completely agree. I completely agree.
And I think that this may be a stretch, but I think it's appropriate, and maybe you can speak a little bit to the traffic jams that are looming. Is that, so if students go up, and you got to go up early, so you can't go up on Monday and come back Monday night. It's not going to happen. You need to get up there Saturday, Sunday at the latest, stay somewhere with friends, maybe some school people or a team in one of the schools up in Coos County that might put you up. Maybe that would work out. And then on the other end, and then you're there for Monday to experience the total solar eclipse, but you're not going to get home on Monday either. When I went to Hopkinsville, Kentucky, on one towards the west, there were 4 interstate lanes going north, clogged. So we drove 20 miles east. 4 interstate lanes going north, clogged. Nobody's moving. But we have Route 3, so we're all set.
Well, that's just it, is even already, there's a limited number of hotels and bed and breakfasts up in Coos County, and they're already getting booked out. And as you said, we have a couple roads up in Coos County highways, but it's not really sufficient to handle the kind of traffic. And as you know, we have fellow Astronomical Society members who do follow total solar eclipses, and as you have. And invariably, their experiences have been the same. Everywhere you go, yes, it's true, there are some of us that care more about astronomical things that travel further, but imagine the path of totality is coming through your neighborhood. You're going to go try to travel to it. And so really it's like a massive sporting event or concert that's getting out, but hours and hours and hours. I told the Commissioner of Education that it will be like Memorial Day weekend condensed into one day, but on a Monday instead of a weekend. So I think that got his
work and school. Yeah, that got his attention.
That got his attention. So all the more reason to have school closed, but in addition to having school closed, like you said, we don't want the kids to just stay home, especially without guidance. We want to make sure that they have guidance, they know what's going on, they know how to view it, they can do so safely. And I'm excited to announce that the commissioner showed a lot of interest in making sure that every student had solar eclipse glasses in the state.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. And that is just so important. You know, people just don't understand what a great opportunity this is. And we don't, and it's not just students, it's families. You know, it's everybody that can get access to this totality should, but you need to go early and plan to stay late. And so we look forward, because as you said, Ellen, you're working on a bill, you're in communication with the Commissioner of Education, the New Hampshire Astronomical Society. Some of the members are involved in putting together some curriculum. So this story has not come to a conclusion yet.
That's right, that's right. But we're going to do our best.
And I know we will and you will. So Ellen, thanks so much for being part of our show today.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And we'll be back in a moment to talk about what's going on in the night sky. I hope you enjoyed that interview with Representative Ellen Reed, and she is just really into space, science, and the importance of education for our students in elementary, middle school, high schools of New Hampshire. Don't miss this opportunity. There'll be more about this ahead, but it's time to start planning. So, this is October, and the sky I'm showing you here is October 14th, around 9 o'clock or so at night, so a dark sky, and we're looking east-southeast, so towards the east, but a little bit towards the south. 9 p.m. is what we're looking at, and October 14th, so it's very similar a week before, a week after, and such like that. So as you look east-southeast, the first thing you're going to find that you can't miss is Jupiter. Jupiter will be that blazing object just rising above the horizon. That's the planet Jupiter. And then as you look towards the upper right, the next brightest object that you're going to come to is over here, and it's the planet Saturn. So two great planets up in the evening sky. I want to talk about a couple of constellations that you can find. And as you face southeast, east, kind of in between, if you will, right, in between Saturn and Jupiter, kind of behind where my head is at the moment, is the Great Square of Pegasus. And it's easy to pick out fairly bright stars, so you can see how the square makes itself here. And the brightest star is called Alpheratz, and Alpheratz actually belongs to the constellation of Andromeda. Andromeda kind of swoops down this way a few stars, and it kind of swoops down this way a few stars. It kind of makes like an A, I think. And then a constellation that is really easy to find, that looks like it's supposed to, is right here. This is a triangle. And then underneath that is, it looks to me like a hockey stick. So if we go to the next slide, we'll connect some of these stars with some lines. You see the Great Square of Pegasus. The brightest star in the square is Alpheratz, which belongs to Andromeda. You see the triangulum. The hockey stick is Aries. The planet Jupiter is hanging out right near Pisces Australis, or the southern fish down here. And Saturn is in the constellation of Aquarius. I want to show you where to find the Andromeda Galaxy, of which that was a picture. So if you take that brightest star in the corner of the square of Pegasus, Alpheratz, and you go down two of the brighter stars, 1, 2, and then you go up two dimmer stars, 1, 2, right near that star with averted vision. If you just kind of look at the star, but you'll see a fuzzy spot, and that fuzzy spot right about here is the Andromeda Galaxy, which is 2.5 million light years away. And binoculars will show it much better. A small telescope, you'll see a nice fuzzy oval, and the larger the telescope, the more detail you'll see. And if you want to see what Hubble sees, let's now look at the next image. And this is the Andromeda Galaxy, affectionately known as M31. And this is our closest major galaxy, the Andromeda Galaxy. It's about the same size as our own Milky Way galaxy, a little bit larger, maybe 10% larger, with maybe 10% more stars. And you can just see the core of it just packed with stars. But this is a great high-resolution image where you can see the color of some of the stars, the red stars, the orange stars, the dust and the dust lanes. It's an amazing opportunity to go out in the sky. It's the furthest thing that you can see with the unaided human eye, 2.5 million light years away. Okay? Enjoy that. Next, I thought we'd take a look at some of the artwork for these constellations. Here is Andromeda. Andromeda is the daughter of Queen Cassiopeia and King Cepheus. You can see Pegasus, the flying horse, here. And then Pisces, the fishes, is this circlet here, which comes down, and they join together like ribbons with the tails of the fishes, and that's Pisces. And then I mentioned the triangle, the ram, Aries the ram, and underneath, kind of like the foot of the ram, the way it's pictured here, is stepping on Jupiter. Now, the Pleiades star cluster is also out, and the Pleiades star cluster is in the constellation of Taurus, and that's that tiny little dipper thing you'll see in the east above the horizon. At 9 o'clock, of course, it'll rise more and more as we get after 9 o'clock. And this is your opportunity to find the planet Uranus, because Uranus is pretty much right in the middle of Jupiter and the Pleiades is where you're going to find the planet Uranus. It's going to have a small bluish disk and the bluish color. And if you have a telescope, the small disk is going to give it away, and that's where you're going to find the planet Uranus. So it's nicely positioned to make it relatively easy to be able to find. So next slide. It's up to you, right? Because you don't have the lines, you don't have the artwork up there. So it's your job to be able to find out where are these things. So again, east, southeast, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, October 14th, a week before, a week after is fine. You'll see Jupiter blazing, and then the Pleiades, right? That small star cluster, planet Uranus in between. And we come up to the great square of Pegasus, obviously makes a square. Take the brightest star, Alpheratz, which is the leftmost star of the square. Kind of looks like a diamond the way it's positioned. And you come down 2 stars, 1, 2, go up 2 stars, and you will find a fuzzy spot there, which is the Andromeda Galaxy. So cool. And then you can't miss the planet Saturn. Again, telescopic views. The first Friday night of every month, come to the McCall Shepherd Discovery Center. The New Hampshire Astronomical Society will be there with telescopes to offer you views of these wonderful celestial delights. So next, a reminder about International Observe the Moon Night. We'll be at Bryant Field in Belmont, 7 to 10 p.m. with telescopes. Look at the moon, look at Jupiter, look at Saturn. There's also a meteor shower, the Orionid meteor shower. And if you would like to see pieces of Halley's Comet, the Orion meteor shower are the pieces, the dust trail specks from the comet Halley. So that's kind of cool. So Belmont High School Astronomy Club will be there, and they're sponsoring this International Observe the Moon Night, Bryant Field in Belmont. Okay, and that's Saturday, October 21st. And then next, we have the weekend before, we have the partial annular eclipse to look at. And this is Saturday, October 14th. And we'll have eclipse viewing. We'll have glasses available for $2 from 12:15 to 2:15 p.m. We'll be there. The maximum view time is around 1:24, so, be there 15 minutes after or so, and you'll see the most of the sun that's going to get blocked off. Again, Belmont High School Astronomy Club will be hosting this with some other astronomers with safe viewing telescopes, solar telescopes, to be able to look at the sun, and you should enjoy seeing some sunspots as well as looking at the eclipse and the sun. And then a reminder next that the McCall Shepherd Discovery Center is having a party for that annular solar eclipse viewing, the partial, and they're open from 10:30 to 4 p.m. But again, the main maximum viewing opportunities around 1:24 p.m. But great shows. There's a new planetarium show called Totality, and great planetarium shows as always at the McCall Shepherd Discovery Center in Concord, New Hampshire. So that concludes our show for this month. I hope that you enjoyed it, and don't forget to keep looking